Nigeria's vision, Mr. President's global vision, and then on key issues of priority.
Quality at 76th UN General Assembly as President Buhari arrives in New York. Activities marking Nigeria's 61st independence anniversary begins with historical pictures exhibition. A circle for Jigawa flood victims.
Provision of shelter kits to 183 households.
Also tonight, violent extremism, peace camp in Nasarawa to train 500 youths on peaceful coexistence for national integration.
We've learned different ways and approaches in which to deal with violent people or aggressive kind of people.
This is Network News of the NTA. We are live in Abuja. I am Kenan Ima Aborike. Hengino John Adams joins from Lagos. All is now set for the commencement of general debates by world leaders at the ongoing 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Consequently, President Mohammed Buhari has convened a strategic meeting with Nigeria's delegation to the annual event. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Apart from the ministers on the president's delegation, the National Security Advisor and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, the meeting was also attended by Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Mohammed Tijani Bande. It was an opportunity for the president to be brought up to speed on what to expect at the global event and compare notes on Nigeria's strategy towards achieving a successful outing. President Muhammadu Buhari will be addressing the largest gathering of the world leaders on Friday.
So what we will see from this is Nigeria's vision, Mr. President's global vision, and then on key issues of priority. So, you know, things like the development, where we are with that, with climate change, with security, with women empowerment, what we're doing in support of that, and you know, good governance, anti-corruption, illicit, you know, financial flows, and restitution of funds. Then also reform of the United Nations itself and Nigeria's position on that. And also just to show the efforts that we are making in Nigeria, change the narrative. You know, we feel that the narrative is not always fair to Mr. President and to Nigeria, and to put forward also the fact of the challenges we're facing in our country, and the very honest attempt and also very successful in many areas to address all those national challenges that we're facing, so that the world can see that Nigeria is a responsible member of the global community and a leader in many ways.
But before his address to the General Assembly, the president is expected to participate in some high-level meetings targeted at achieving food and sustainable energy for all. He is also scheduled to hold bilateral talks with a number of world leaders and heads of international development organizations.
This is what I always talk about when I talk about Mr. President as one of the strongest brands that we have in Nigeria. A lot of leaders want to meet with him. And again, this is part of the Buhari doctrine of engagement and positive and constructive engagement with all countries. So we cannot take all the leaders. There's just not enough time. So, you know, it's a representative sample of the world that want to meet with him and to discuss bilateral relations and other issues of common interest.
About 100 heads of state and government are already in New York for the high-level engagements at this year's General Assembly. From New York, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
83 nations of the world and more whose leaders are participating at this year's 76th United Nations General Assembly in New York are eager and waiting to find out some of life-shaping deliberations that will take place at the Assembly. Charles Alpha takes a look at some of the areas of global concern.
The United Nations General Assembly Conference is the flagship event of Journalists and Writers Foundation. creating a platform for diverse stakeholders to discuss the Global Agenda 2030, offer innovative solutions, strategies and policies recommendations to advance further the culture of peace, human rights and sustainable development.
The underlying thread in your approach to solving global issues is prevention in all its aspects, from conflict, climate change, pandemics, to poverty and inequality.
Every year, this global event gathers an interdisciplinary group of distinguished panelists and high-level speakers to discuss a particular agenda around 3 subsequent panel sessions.
And we are writing our own history with the choices we make right now. It can go either way: breakdown and perpetual crisis, or breakthrough and prospect of a greener, safer and better future for all.
President of the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly, Volkan Bozkır, prior to the conference, which begins Tuesday at the United Nations headquarters in New York, said, with head of 83 states personally indicated interest to attend, 26 have applied for a recorded performance.
This platform has been exceedingly valuable in generating a new way of collaborating. We must prioritize and ensure we equip this assembly and the UN with tools required to meet the 21st century challenges.
Nigerian President Muhammad Buhari is expected to address the assembly alongside other world leaders such as US President Joe Biden and a host of others. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
The permanent representative of Nigeria to the United Nations, Professor Tijani Mohammed Bande, says President Muhammad Buhari will join other world leaders to push for global vaccine equity at the ongoing UN General Assembly high-level meetings. Speaking to the news agency of Nigeria in New York, Bande said the issue of equal access to vaccines was paramount at the 76th session of the General Assembly, based on its theme, which is building resilience through hope to recover from COVID-19, rebuild sustainably, respond to the needs of the planet, respect the rights of people, and revitalize the United Nations. Bande said President Buhari, who arrived in New York on Sunday, is expected to address the high-level session of the General Assembly on the 4th day of the general debate on Friday, September 24th, when he would speak on the theme of the conference and other global issues. In the meantime, Nigerians from diverse backgrounds from across the United States have staged a peaceful protest in New York against those fanning the embers of disunity and destabilization in the country. Under the auspices of One Nigeria Group, the people made a case for genuine support for the Buhari presidency and its efforts at achieving national unity, stability and sustainable future for all. State House correspondent Adamu Samba reports that the peaceful protesters gathered at Nigerian House in Manhattan, New York. They carried placards and banners with various inscriptions to drive home their support efforts at making Nigeria greater by the present administration. The group led by Hassan Hadija said as Nigeria marks 60 years anniversary of its independence, calls for disintegration and dismemberment of the country are counterproductive and condemnable.
And that is why we're here, to show unity, to show love, to show strength in our diversity, and to preach stronger together.
What are you trying to achieve at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, we're trying to achieve awareness, and that's why we're out here. The world is here in New York today, and that is why we come out here and say, hey, those voices you probably been listening to, they are the voices of a few, that the majority of Nigerians prefer Nigeria to remain as one country.
We believe that Nigeria is filled with diversity. It doesn't matter what culture we are, it doesn't matter what religion we are one, and we are better and stronger together. Yes, we all have our differences, but hey, that's the part that makes Nigeria Nigerians, and that's why so many people wish to be Nigerians. So hey, we have to come back together again. No matter what, guys, no matter what. This is why I'm here to support my people, and whatever it takes to get it done.
It's because of the effort of the present administration. That's why we're coming to show people that what people are hearing and seeing in social media is not right, is not correct. The president is really trying to make sure he provides security and jobs for our people back home.
In the quest to close the housing deficit in the country, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has tasked financial market experts to support government efforts by developing an appropriate housing finance model that will significantly transform the housing sector on a large scale. That report will come in the course of our bulletin. Nigeria's indivisible status has continued to remain the nation's strength and pivot upon which its growth and development lies. Information and Culture Minister Mohammed amplified this at a photo exhibition as part of the year-round activities to celebrate the country's 60th independence. Anthony Fulton reports.
Organized by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, the Nigeria at 60 photo exhibition with the theme 60 Years of Our Togetherness is a presentation that captures 6 decades of Nigeria's independence, telling Nigeria's story in pictures, delivering a photographic presentation of the nation's icons who have remained as linked to the country's history as a united people with a future assured.
It is an incontrovertible fact that Nigeria over the years has gone through challenging times. But we must not miss the fact that its resolve to remain as one individual entity has remained unshaken. The Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, through the Ownership Subcommittee of Nigeria's 60 project, is using the opportunity provided by the Independence Anniversary celebration to organize a photo exhibition that will deliver information and educate many of us, especially our youth.
For the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, his position is disturbed by the fact that today's youths are being misled by false narration, which they must resist by taking a cursory look at the pictorial exhibition to understand the Nigerian story, which they are being groomed to take over in the future.
Of course, like every nation, we've had our own challenging times, but we survived them on the strength of our rich culture, dynamic population, with over 250 ethnic groups, and ever resilient spirit. In spite of our diversity in culture and language, we remain one strong and indivisible country. This unity in our diversity has been aptly captured in the theme of the Diamond Jubilee celebration, Together, which emphasizes the promotion of social cohesion, national values through the impartation and adoption of civic and communal values that promote good character, patriotism, empathy, hard work, and self-reflection.
Head of the Civil Service of the Federation on her part called for a renewed system.
Government institutions must not only continuously innovate to be able to accomplish strategic objectives, but must re-engineer with the right leadership mindset, collaboration, and culture to deliver on institutional goals.
The exhibition is meant to serve as a reminder of events in Nigeria. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
We'll take a break now. The news will continue shortly after these messages. Do stay with the NTA. Welcome back. Another relief comes on the way of 2020 flood disaster victims in Jigawa as the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development donates food and non-food items to cushion some of their hardship. This came as the ministry also hands over feeding utensils to support school feeding program in the state. Mohammed reports.
The flood disaster victim support is an ECOWAS initiative facilitated by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development and the Red Cross that deploy the methodology for capturing the vulnerable households. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadia Umar Farouk, represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Bashir Umar Al-Ali, says the program is launched in 16 states to mitigate the socio-economic impact of 2020 flood, which was devastating.
Provision of shelter kits to 183 households comprising 1,098 persons, most especially widows and women-headed households, and the provision of 62 motorized boreholes and 62 hand-washing points.
The government is the only state in Nigeria that has complemented the federal government program of homegrown school feeding program, where Jigawa State is feeding primary 4 to 6 in addition to the primary 1 to 3.
The ministry has handed over feeding utensils for beneficiaries of the program in Jigawa State, while the states carry out the day-to-day implementation, such as procurement of food items, selection of cooks and vendors. From Dutse, Mohammed, NTA News.
The North-East Development Commission is assessing progress reports on the implementation process of a 10-year transformation roadmap and returning the insurgency-plagued region into a productive and peaceful territory. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that this came to the fore during an engagement with stakeholders in drive to achieving the prescribed mandate.
Once a peaceful region with promising future, but met with insecurity, traversing dozens of communities with scores of casualties for more than a decade, but gradually returning to normalcy. And to rebuild the crisis-ridden region, empowering its inhabitants becomes critical. But this can only be possible through drastic steps for reintegration and prosperity under a 10-year stabilization and development master plan.
The primary objective of the master plan is to alleviate poverty and bring about transformation of the region in a manner that it can bring about prosperity. So it's not just dealing with poverty issues, but also creating prosperity in the region. As we said, we want the region to be at par with the rest of the country by 2030.
The North-East Development Commission is fast-tracking assessment of strategic measures in key areas of education, infrastructure, health, resettlement, and inclusive growth under the vision of one region, one aspiration.
We intend to have the same interaction with, as you can see, we are doing with the states. We intend to do with the federal component, that's the legislators, so that at the end of the day we have a robust system that is owned by everybody, so that we will have that sustainability during implementation.
The engagement also seeks to identify target goals and initiate workable solutions in line with Sustainable Development Goals deadline of 2030. Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
There are increasing calls for a national policy to protect the civilian population during armed conflict. Abdul Malik Hassan reports that the media is in the forefront for the actualization of this policy.
In Nigeria, the Boko Haram insurgency and banditry are responsible in the forceful displacement of the civilian population, rendering many refugees in their own land. To address this humanitarian crisis, men in the fourth estimate of the realm are holding talks to canvass for a national policy on caring for the civilian, especially the vulnerable.
The policy on the protection of civilians would really resolve issues around the impact of security forces' actions or inactions in their duties when they go on military objectives. But majorly, the policy would provide the ground for better trust, for better engagement and dialogue between communities and security forces.
It is going to go a long way in terms of consciousness inculcated in the security personnel that they need to do this in a manner that will not harm the civilians, especially those who are not involved in any violence or threat to the people.
Considering the spikes of conflict across the country, that it is important that now and urgently the country should actually respond to that particular policy as a framework to protect.
Optimism is high. The civilians will be protected, but this can only be achieved if the policy is adopted by the federal government. Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
The advocacy by the federal government for all stakeholders to get involved in tackling violent extremism is taking root in Nasarawa State. This is at a youth peace camp in Doma, Nasarawa State, where more than 500 youths across tribal and religious divide are undergoing a week-long program on peaceful coexistence for national integration. Abigail Bashi reports.
The annual Youth Peace Camp is the third edition after two successive ones which produced 500 peace ambassadors from across the states against violent extremism.
We've learned different ways and approaches in which to deal with violent people or aggressive kind of people.
They taught us about how to communicate between one another, concerning religions and the other religions.
Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, represented and lauded the organizers for targeting the youths to entrench peace in their communities. The country director, Action Aid Nigeria, NLB, urged the participants to be patriotic and focused in order to succeed.
Action Aid is interested because of humanity. Action Aid is interested because our youth are also troubled. The young people, the world belongs to the young people.
I want them to imbibe the culture of peace and promote resilience in their communities.
The Youth Peace Camp is part of the system and structure strengthening approach being implemented to encourage peaceful coexistence, tolerance, equality, and peaceful conflict resolutions. From Doma, Abigail Bashi, NTA News.
A consortium of lawyers for human rights and justice and the Council of Ethnic Youth Leaders of Nigeria, in conjunction with some civil society organizations, are urging business owners to primarily engage in healthy competition and desist from smear campaign against each other. This was at a media briefing in Abuja, as Timothy Yusuf now reports.
The truth, however, is that Mr. Peters has been in the oil and gas industry for over 26 years, mainly in oil marketing, and as demonstrated, Mr. Peters is the founder of the ITO Group, an integrated, global-focused Nigerian energy conglomerate comprising a number of corporate entities that provide jobs and enhance meaningful indigenous participation in the energy sector previously monopolized by the international oil companies.
This media briefing by this group of lawyers and some civil society organizations is based on an alleged campaign against ITO Group of companies and its founder, Mr. Benedict Peters, in some quarters. These groups believe that the allegations being peddled against Mr. Peters and ITO are the same issues which have already been conclusively determined by courts of competent jurisdiction or pending in court, and the purpose of the campaign could only be to impugn the integrity of Mr. Peters and the company.
It is important to stress that this decision highlighted one of the many dangers of relying on open source information. Open source is information derived from open source, including the internet and other similar media gossip sources, which are unverifiable and very often unreliable.
The call on people of conscience not to yield to people whose objectives were not noble, and such will encourage unhealthy business rivalry. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
President Muhammad Buhari has felicitated with a former Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Alhaji Mohammed Ibrahim, and the Makaman of Ringim, who attained the age of 18. President Buhari, in a statement, described Mohammed Ibrahim, a one-time DG of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, as a veteran broadcaster who retired from service with an untainted record of integrity. The President wishes the octogenarian many more years of service to the community and the nation in good health. Similarly, Governor Mohammed Bande Abubakar of Jigawa State has congratulated Alhaji Mohammed Ibrahim Makaman ringing on his attainment of the age of 80 years. The governor, who in a message described Makaman as a father, a broadcaster par excellence, public servant and community leader, has immensely contributed to the development of Jigawa State and the entire nation. The governor said the Jigawa State will forever be proud of the contributions made by Makaman Ringim when he served as various capacities, such as Director General, Nigerian Television Authority, Director General, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, President and Chairman, Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, President, Commonwealth Broadcasting Association, Chairman, Jigawa State Television, and now serving as a district head of Kanya Baba. In the meantime, the Director General, Nigerian Television Authority, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, has also, on behalf of the management and entire workforce of the NTA, congratulated former Director General of the NTA and FRCN, Alhaji Mohammed Ibrahim, on his 80th birthday. The NTA DG, in a statement, notes the invaluable contributions of the media administrator par excellence, who is now the district head of Kanya Baba in Jigawa State. Malam Yakubu Ibn Mohammed praised Allah to continue to guide and protect Mohammed Ibrahim, Makaman of Ringim, and give him the needed longevity to continue to serve him and humanity in robust health with his characteristically refreshing candor and unity of purpose, so as to remain an icon and a role model, influencing and shaping careers of many. The Nigerian Television Authority is drawing the attention of the public to a fake recruitment portal being circulated online, asking interested candidates to join a particular link to apply. Tagged NTA Recruitment 2021-2022 application form portal, the fake portal claims to have vital information on NTA Recruitment via www.nta.ng and urges the public to click a particular link. The Nigerian Television Authority wishes to dissociate itself from the said portal, as it is not recruiting now, and advises the public to be wary of fraudsters who are bent on defrauding innocent and unsuspecting people. Hengano Jonah Adams in Lagos is next on the news.
Thank you, Kenny. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, has restated the commitment of the Nigerian Army towards winning the war against insurgents and other security challenges, calling on all stakeholders to be united. This was part of his remarks as he continues his operational visit to military formations in Lagos and environs. Olumide Eguntola reports.
Day 2 of the 4 days operational visit of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya. Acting his watchword, leading by example, he charged officers and men of the Nigerian Army to always display professionalism in the discharge of their duties. The Army Chief reassured Nigerians of victory over security challenges confronting the country.
I want to assure that Nigerian Army will continue to do its best to address the myriad of security challenges that we're having across the country, whether it is northeast, northwest, north central, southeast, south, and all across. We need all hands to be on deck, and together we can fight this insecurity and these other challenges we find ourselves.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, appealed to officers and men of the force to work harmoniously with other security agencies and civilians in order to achieve the desired results. He later inspected and inaugurated several projects at the various military formations in Lagos, including Bande Cantonment, Nigerian Army Signals Headquarters, Arakan Cantonment, Apapa, Nigerian Army School of Signals, and 70 Command, Supply and Transport, among others. Presenting a van to Regimental Sergeant Majors, RSM, the Chief of Army Staff assured officers and men of the Nigerian Army of elevation as at when due, in line with international best practices. In Lagos, Olumide Eguntola, NTA News.
The National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, says it is gradually actualizing its target to capture all Nigerians, as it has registered more than 60 million unique national identification number records as of July 2021. Annie Daniels takes a look at this all-important project and how Lagos residents are availing themselves the opportunity.
The National Identification Management Commission, NIMC, was established in 2007 to, among other things, operate and manage the National Identity Management System, carry out enrollments of citizens and legal residents, and issue a unique identification number known as NIN. 14 years down the line, how has the Commission fared? Has it been able to live up to expectations?
Sometimes when you want to do online business, online trading and all those things, you will be required to have your social security number. So that is Nigerian social security number. Somebody that does not have a driver's license, he does not have an international passport, that is the only option the person has.
My respondents all agree that the National Identification Number, NIN, is one project that requires upload to the federal government. But we are quick to point out that inability to access the procedure for enrollment with ease, among other issues, is discouraging.
I went there the first time, the queue was much, I have to go home.
In the gender, instead of putting female, they put male.
They never give me the original card.
With this, it carries your national identification number. It carries your national identification number. Just with the national identification number, you can go to the bank, you can go to immigration office, the embassies, you can go to road safety.
Valada Aderyokun says the Commission has fared well and advised those with issues to approach the Commission for necessary actions. The benefits of the National Identification Number, my respondent says, quite enormous, and all they hope is that all concerned authorities should please ensure that every Nigerian has this number. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. It's time for another break. The news continues shortly.
Welcome back. As we now bring you Jide Onifade's report on closing housing deficits in the country.
During another meeting with stakeholders in Nigeria's oil and gas industry under the auspices of Independent Petroleum Producers Group, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo assured the group of the Buhari administration's commitment to the security of lives and property, noting that government is open to suggestions that would lead to permanent resolution of the crisis. The Vice President also called for collaboration between the federal government and other stakeholders in the oil and gas sector in advocating for a just energy transition regarding the global net zero emission target in 2050. The group commended the Vice President's peace efforts in the Niger Delta in 2016 that ensured peace and security of investments in the region at a time when the nation suffered a recession. Chairman of Group Abdulrazak Issa, while soliciting the support of the federal government in securing investments in the sector, disclosed that the crisis resolution model deployed by the Vice President in 2016 will be replicated by the group to address emerging security threats on oil and gas facilities in the southeast. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo today received the President-elect of Sao Tome and Principe, Carlos Villanova. The Vice President welcomed the President-elect and his entourage to the presidential villa at about 4:30 in the afternoon of Monday, 20th September, and thereafter went into a closed-door meeting which lasted for about an hour. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, commences 100% custody requirement in collective investment scheme as investors lose 19.5 billion naira to open the week negative in the stock market. Let's join Musa Abubakar for details on business news.
Thank you, Ken. In a bid to further protect investors and deepen the capital market, the Securities and Exchange Commission has announced that it has commenced the implementation of 100% custody requirement in the collective investment scheme sector. Director General of SEC Lamido Yoguda stated this in an interview in Abuja. The custody requirement covers all funds and portfolios being managed by registered fund and portfolio managers. Yoguda said although it is a natural operational requirement of CIS, the SEC is having some new enforcement and insistence on the compliance that has been in the books but have not been implemented before now. The Director General said the introduction of total custody in that sector is likely to see a massive uptake of these kinds of products, and any investor that invests in the capital market should be confident that their investments are secure. Now, the stocks equities market closed red to begin the week on a bearish note. The all-share index fell 0.10% at 38,906.42 basis point. 190.9 million shares valued at 2.3 billion naira exchange hands in 3,462 deals, and equity capitalization at 20.2 trillion naira. EcoCorp PLC, UBA, and Corporation of Nigeria, Transcorp National Corporation of Nigeria PLC are the most traded stocks. Last business news, it's back to you, Kenneth.
Thank you, Musa. How female engineers in Nigeria can leverage on the vast opportunities available in the digital space is the focus of the 2021 National Conference of the Association of Professional Women in Engineering, APWEN, held in Abuja. At a press briefing preceding the conference, the national president of APWEN, Fumilayo Ojelade, urged the participants to apply themselves diligently throughout the period of the annual gathering, because this year's event has been carefully planned to be of utmost benefit to them, as notable resource persons are expected to share industry experiences with them.
To introduce them to employers, big-time employers of engineers. You know, we have invited some of them to this event, like the Baker Hughes. They are here today. They are mentor partners. We invite them, and they will have interaction with these young engineers. The people we invite are usually multinationals, so that they tell them a career in Baker Hughes, how is it? A career in Guinness, how is it? Do you employ female engineers? Do they have the prospect of growing? What class of degree do you employ when you take female engineers? So that is the whole idea behind this town.
About 1,000 female engineers from both the academics and industry are expected to attend the conference. Do stay with us as we embark on another break. The Black Queens of Ghana defeated the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon on March Day 5 of the Aisha Buhari Cup, as African football administrators laud organizers of the tournament for curating a platform to develop African women football. Samuel Johnson reports.
Having lost their first matches, both the Black Queens of Ghana and the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon wanted to end their participation in the Aisha Buhari Cup with a win on March Day 5. After an intriguing first half which ended goalless, the Ghanaian ladies increased the tempo of the game in the second half to register 2 unreplied goals to beat the Cameroonian ladies. Administrators of both sides commended organizers of the tournament for giving their teams the platform to expose their players ahead of the African Women Championship qualifiers.
We have not come here to really win. It is an opportunity for these teams to fine-tune for future competitions. So we are here to gather experience.
They play professional football. So I urge them to improve on whatever they can do now so that in future we can win more matches.
The Nigeria Football Federation says it is expecting football fans to turn out en masse on the final day of the Aisha Buhari Cup to cheer the Super Falcons against the Bana of South Africa.
Nigerians, we expect nothing but victory. We expect good football as the first thing, as we always expect victory. But I must say that the theme for this tournament is playing for good. So whether we win, draw or lose, we are playing for good, and that's what this tournament is about.
The Aisha Buhari Cup ends on Tuesday when the Super Falcons of Nigeria take on the Bana of South Africa by 4 p.m. In Lagos, Samuel Johnson, NTA News.
The Ministry of Women Affairs has expressed shock over the demise of Dr. Howard Evelyn Shekarau, President, Founder, Women Law and Development Initiative Africa. A statement by the Minister, Pauline Tarling, said Howard Shekarau represented the true essence of selfless sacrifices to the cause of humanity and stood in solidarity with rights and welfare of women and children. The minister took solace in the fact that Nigerian women and children were able to show her how much they appreciated her during the just concluded National Council on Women Affairs, which held in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. She prayed God to grant her family, Nigerian women and children, the fortitude to bear the irreplaceable loss. Up next is a look at tomorrow's weather prospect.
Hello and you're welcome. We expect increase in rainfall both in amount and spread, reaching as far as the extreme northern part of the country. We expect the build-up to start in the morning with much cloudiness and prospects of some rains in the morning over parts of Niger and Kebbi. These prospects for morning rains are also there along the stretch of the coastal areas. But as we move into the afternoon, we expect better prospects as we have chances of thunderstorms affecting much of the northern part of the country, reaching to the central region. And to the south, we expect different shades of rains within the forecast period. This rain should come with strong winds, and so you may want to take care. Thank you for watching.
That's NTA Network News tonight. Thank you indeed for watching. Endeavor to support our fight against rape and rapists. My name is Kenan Ima Aborike. Good night.